But it's also interesting that you were focusing on the sort of the religious parts because, slavery, I think, anyway, when you really think about it, is probably one of the worst crimes against humanity in the history of the world, kidnapping people and then bringing them not just to the United States, but elsewhere, South America, Caribbean, or elsewhere. But basically stripping those folks of their cultural practices, including the things you were mentioning.
Well, what I found interesting about Santeria especially was the way that they syncretized the saints, their own Yoruba deities, with Catholic saints. So they hid their religion in the Catholic religion. But it was interesting because, like, the English didn't have saints. The English worshiped differently, so their slaves had to go through different things to worship.
Uh-huh.
I think the first thing they did was take away the drum. But like the French and the Spanish, that's where Santeria happened because they had Catholic saints they could hide their own gods in.
Interesting. Yeah.
And so that was interesting. But then, so the evolution after doing the altar work was, and I got into just doing African American history, like where that ancestral spirit lives in us as we have gone through all that, and continue to this day to deal with the remnants of that.
Yeah.
And so I did a lot of work with photographs of slaves, cotton fields, and I've gone pretty deep into, like, I'm what they call mixed race, half caste. Mulatto is a word that is not used in my vocabulary.
And why do you object to the term mulatto, by the way?
Because it's a half mule. It's like a mule is a cross between a horse and an ass. Like, do I really want to be associated with being a mix like that? Like,
right.
I'm not a mule.
Right.
And it's a very derogatory word. So in a lot of my pieces, I used to do "I'm not a mule" in some form or another.
Interesting.
And then, so I did a lot of, like, I collected a lot of photographs, lynching photographs. Not so much though. I mean, I didn't focus so much on that, but I focused on just the faces, the history, the background of where these people lived and how they lived, and just like the women, like it's like you can see the beauty of these women even in slave cotton clothing. You can see the regal, and so that's what I tried to bring out, is the regal, is the gloriousness of who we really are.
Yes.
In the midst of all this turmoil too.